Greetings, my empire. Drezu here, back with another video. And today I want to talk about Redguard in PvP, the state of Redguard, and why I believe Redguard is the worst class in ESO PvP. Now, before we get into this, man, I want to ask y'all to hit the like button, subscribe, join the empire. You already know, helps me out, helps the channel out, and helps the channel grow. Now, back to what I was saying. Redguard, the worst race in for ESO PvP. Now, why do I believe this? I believe Redguard is the worst race in ESO PvP because it's a race that doesn't do extremely, that doesn't perform extremely well with any class. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's been, a lot of updates, past updates where, class passives has been switched up and stuff like that. A good example is Wood Elf. Wood Elf got a lot of changes to their passives, and to be honest, Wood Elf got one of the best changes to their passives. You know what I'm saying? Wood Elf is just up right now in terms of their passives, but it seems that Redguard has gotten the short end of the stick because they really don't have anything appealing to a certain class. You know what I'm saying? And their passives is really lackluster, to say the least. Now, basically, what I want to do is I want to show you the Redguard passives, show you why they are underperforming, why they're so bad, and tell you how I would switch them. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's go to skills, Redguard passives, um, Wayfarer. This is just something that really is nothing. But let's go into the actual passives that matter. So we have martial training. Now what martial training does is reduce the cost of your weapon abilities by 8% and reduce the effectiveness of snares applied to you by 15%. Now this is garbage. This whole passive is garbage. Um, let me explain why, and it's easy to explain why. Any veteran player can see why this passive is so bad. Now the first one reduces the cost of your weapon abilities by 8%. Now if you're in PvP and you're running a stamina PvP class, and you're running a PvP build, unless you're running like a sort of a special build that has a lot of weapon abilities, this passive is probably going to be really useless because probably the max somebody is going to run is 3 weapon abilities on a class. You know what I'm saying? The max is 3 weapon abilities. You feel me? If you're running a one-handed, if you're running two-handed, you're probably running rally, you're probably running uppercut, and you're probably running executioner. If you're running dual wields, you're probably running twin slashes, you're probably running whirlwind, and you're probably running blade cloak. But really the max you're probably going to be running is 3 abilities. So you're telling me 3 out of the 12 ability slots, including the ultimate slot, you have 3 out of the 12 abilities, only 3 of them is getting a reduced cost reduction. Kind of really bad to only have 3 abilities getting a cost reduction to the passives. Imperial has a way better passive which reduces the cost of all your abilities by 5%, which is really just way better than what martial training gives you. And then looking at the second passive, it says reduces the effectiveness of snares applied to you by 15%. Now this passive is completely garbage, and the reason why is there are too many abilities in the game that completely wipe out snares from your, completely cleanse snares from your player. We have abilities like momentum forward, we have abilities like race against time, we have abilities like evasion. You know what I'm saying? What is it called? uh let's see. Yeah, evasion. You know what I'm saying? We have abilities like those where they completely wipe out snares, effectiveness of snares applied to you. You know what I'm saying? So having this second passive is really just useless because one, there's just abilities that can wipe out snares from you. You really don't need reduced snares, you know, and two, reducing snares is really not that good to begin with. I've tested this out. It really doesn't do a lot, you know what I'm saying? I guess when you get slowed, it reduces the slow a little bit, but it doesn't do too much that it's a big difference. So, um, martial training, what I would change about martial training is the first one, I would just say have a 8% cost reduction to stamina abilities in general. It would be way better to do that than just do it with weapon abilities. Um, that's basically it. Just have an 8% cost reduction to stamina abilities because weapon abilities, like I said, you're probably going to be running three of them. Um, Max on a build, you know what I'm saying? So on your ability bar, so just something way better to have. And to reduce the effectiveness of snares applied to you, I would change this to something like sort of like um, when you're in the CC immune form, you get when you have the CC immunity buff, you get some sort of buff. You know, you get a speed buff, or you get a damage buff, or you get you know, a resistance buff, something along those lines, because reducing the effectiveness of snares applied to you by 15% is just so bad since there's so many abilities that wipe out snares completely. Now conditioning, um, this is a okay passive. You know, 2,000 stamina, get increasing your max stamina at 2,000. It's actually a lot of stamina. I won't complain about that, but I feel like there could be something more to this. Like instead of it just giving you 1,000, you know, I mean, instead of it giving you 2,000 stamina, I feel like maybe it should give you 1,000 stamina and 1,000 health, something along those lines, or 1,000 stamina and does something, 1,000 stamina and gives you stamina recovery, or something along those lines. But I'm not gonna complain about the max stamina. Conditioning is a passive not to complain about too much. So I'm not gonna complain about conditioning too much. Now, adrenaline rush. When you deal damage, you restore 1,005 stamina. This effect can occur every 5 seconds. Now, this is not a bad passive, but it's bad in the fact of it doesn't have anything with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, to give you an example, Orc has you know, Orc has a passive similar to this where when you deal damage, you get a certain amount of health. But with this passive, they also get, I believe, a health buff with the passive as well. You know, to get a max health buff along with that passive. This adrenaline rush is just a passive all by itself, and it feels like it's really lackluster, and it should get something else with the passive, but it really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's what I would change about this passive, giving it something else, maybe a stamina recovery buff, maybe a max health buff, maybe something along with this passive. Or to be honest, they can completely wipe out this passive and give Redguard a sort of a offensive passive, because that's what I think Redguard lacks in, as well as an offensive passive. They don't have any passive that gives them a sort of a weapon damage or a penetration or a damage done buff, something along those lines. They don't get any of that. So uh, I wouldn't mind if this passive would get completely wiped out and was given some sort of offensive uh, buff for, you know, the passive. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I would change. Just overall, what I would change about the Red Guard passives and why they're so lackluster. You know, it's not that these passives are too bad at face value. It's just that they don't apply to any class. Like these passives, looking at these passives, I wouldn't point you into the direction of a specific class. You know what I'm saying? Because these passives don't resonate well with a specific class. For an example, I can say uh, Khajiit. Khajiit resonates with Templar because Templar gets you know, a lot of stamina. I mean, a lot of, they get bonus critical damage in their passives. So if you combine that with the Khajiit bonus critical damage and in the race passive, you get sort of a synergy with Khajiit and Templar. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really see any really good synergy with Redguard. It doesn't really get a lot of good synergy with any classes. You feel me? The best class I could probably recommend with Redguard is maybe um, Sork, Stam Sork. But even then with Stam Sork, it's not the second or third best race for that class. It's probably like the fifth best race for Stam Sork or the fourth best race for Stam Sork. You feel me? That's the thing about Redguard. They're not the first, second, or third best race for any class. You know what I'm saying? They're probably always going to be put at fourth, fifth, sixth, you know, best race for that class. Um, and that's basically what it is. Redguard got the short end of the stick. They just perform less than any other class. Even Argonian at least. Argonian is bad on, not bad, but you know, the only class Argonian really performs and shines with is Templar. Templar is always going to be Argonian's bread and butter. In my opinion, Templar is the best race. I mean, Argonian is the best race for Templar, you know, just due to their passives, you know, the extra healing, the disease and poison damage, resistances, you know what I'm saying? The maximum health and stamina they get, the uh, the resources they get from using a potion, bro. It just resonates with Templar so well, you know. But like I said, Redguard doesn't have none of that, you know what I'm saying? I can't do that with Redguard. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I wanted to explain in this video. Um, Redguard is just the worst class in my opinion. In this state of PvP right now. If you believe that there's a, you know, a even worse class than Redguard right now, let me know in the comments, man. I would love to hear it. I don't believe, man. I can't believe any other class is more worse, you know, than Redguard in this current meta. But let me know. Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah. Before I end this video, bro, I want to make sure I hit the like button, subscribe, join the Empire, man. You already know. And that's pretty much it. Dre's Empire out. I'm gonna see ya.